All right, everybody. Well, hey, welcome to another episode of another Bourbon Show. Tonight we have got a really special guest for you. We started a rivalry a couple weeks ago with High West because fuck those guys. And and tonight we are actually joined by Conor.kelly. He's a distiller for High West. So big applause for High West saying yeah, let's cut. Yeah, I mean, big media here has been shitting on you guys. So Conor, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Yeah, they said, hey, this big media conglomerate is coming after us, so go to your basement and film a Zoom with them.
Exactly. So Conor, how long have you been working with High West?
So I actually just passed my 1 year mark. I started as funny enough, I applied 4 times to work at High West because it was a bottle of double rye that made me want to be a distiller. I tried it when I was working at a winery. Shout out to Toke Madera on Avenue 9 in Madera, California. Phenomenal wines. But the winemaker, my buddy Shane, was like, dude, distilling, I think, is your thing. Like, you're not that great of a winemaker, so maybe try distillation. And I was like, all right. And I tried double rye, and like I grew up with my dad drinking Glenfiddich 12 and Jameson, just the standard. So I kind of had appreciation, but I didn't really know. And then I drank double rye, and I was like, oh, this is my shit. So I finished up with my degree in winemaking from Fresno State. I got an internship at O'Neill Vintners and Distillers. You know them, or at least their distillery for Christian Brothers Brandy, which I've got some rare bottles up there. I was making brandy for 2 years.
Line 39 wines? Was that around when you were
there? Yeah. Line 39. Honestly, Line 39, shameless plug for them. I'm not even connected to the winemaking side, but those are some damn good wines for how cheap they are. For like $9, you're getting, and usually they'll just say like California Sauvignon Blanc, and you're getting like amazing fruit from the Santa Lucia Highlands or Lucia Highlands, however you say it. So that's a great value for wine. But honestly, I really enjoyed my time there. I got a great appreciation for brandy and all these different fruits that you should try as an adult. But I had a great time. I was just an R&D role, unfortunately, but I got to learn with some of what I would argue is some of the best distillers in America. I mean, they were running 5,000 gallon pot stills, column stills as big as the ones that Jack and Crown have, but they don't get the attention because people don't drink brandy enough. And then I applied to High West to be a blender twice. They shot me down. Applied to be a distiller. They shot me down, but they said, hey, kid, you got close. And I'm like, cool, that's nice. And then like 2 weeks later, they were like, hey, we have another opening. You should really apply again. And then that one, I was like, and literally the third time when I got burned, I had bought a campfire in my room because in college I had to store all my liquor in my room because my dad would steal it. Not that he has a problem. He just loves whiskey. And my brother saw me. Exactly. Oh, my dad loves that I work at a distillery now. But I had a bottle of campfire and I was sipping on it a little bit. And my brother's like, here, let me help you get rid of this shit. Fuck these guys. And then 4 weeks later, I was like, hey, I'm moving to Utah. And so, yeah, I mean, it's been such a fucking whirlwind of stuff to learn. So when I got hired on, we were short staffed because people left. And it's a good sign that when people leave the place you're going to, they're all moving up. They're either starting their own place, they're going to a reputable distillery. So I was like, all right, well, that's not a bad, sign of turnover. That's, it's positive. But we were short staffed and we were doing bourbon R&D, and R&D anywhere, you're throwing a wrench in the machine there. And holy shit, I hate corn. I learned to love it, but for a while, dude, fuck corn. It's so bad to work with. But now we're good. We just brought down a new guy from Texas. We got a great team, a real hodgepodge of outcasts, but we're a great distilling team. And I can't speak highly enough of our blenders, our quality control, our bottlers, our warehouse. Everyone from the top down has been fantastic to work with.
That's awesome. That's cool. Well, tonight we're going to be drinking easily the most exciting releases from High West. Tonight we're going to be drinking Midwinter's Night's Dram. And as you can see, this is a sad day because this bottle is now gone, mostly because I gave it away, a bunch of it away to these two fuckers. And 2 ounces of it got lost in the mail, so that didn't help. But the good news is I don't really give a shit because I got a backup bottle. So it's,
Oh my God, get out of here.
so it's fine. Like I'll be fine. But yeah, so tonight we're going to be drinking. This is the 2020 release of Midwinter's Night's Dram. The 2021 release is not available in the St. Louis. Excuse me, it's not available on the Illinois side yet. It has been released in Missouri, but we haven't gotten any of it on this side of the river yet. But it's expected to be available in the next week or two. So by the time you're listening to this, 6 listeners, it should be available in Illinois. Before we do anything else, though, Stephen, let's give. I know you touched on the label before. Let's give an official rating to a Midwinter's Night's Dram.
Midwinter Night's Dram gets the first official 10. In my opinion. So perfect score for the Midwinter Night's Dram. And I think that the biggest reason for that is it's such a unique label. And it's such a unique theme that fits in as well. Because part of that label to me is the theme. And I think that there's nothing like it out there on the market. Like nobody's doing like a play-based thing. And I love the, act and scene theming as well. To me it's just... High West I think just does a great job at making their whiskey look distinct, and I think that it carries that through as well. The bottle, the cork, every part of the bottle to me has always looked cool, and it stands out on the shelf. I'm a big proponent of something standing out on the shelf, and High West stuff has always done that for me, and I think Midwinter Night's Dram just really lives up to that sort of special looking bottle. And again, there's nobody else doing exactly this kind of thing out there. So I love the play on the name as well. And it tells you when it's released even as part of that. So to me, the whole thing is just a 10.
Yeah. Yeah, I could not agree with you anymore. Like this is the first and only time you've absolutely nailed it. You got it right this time, and that's never happened before. So yeah.
And I wanted to do originally, I guess we can go ahead and mention now that I wanted to originally do on this episode the Burr Rye. And I think that is another one. I would give that one like probably a 9. I think that's a great label as well. It's just so much character to it. And again, the overall bottle just looks awesome to me.
And I've told other people too that like everything that High West puts in, and I recognize that there is a big difference between what's in the bottle and the marketing of said bottle. However, High West marketing, they fucking kill it on everything as far as I'm concerned. Like who else does, like you mentioned double rye earlier, Connor. Who else does all caps, bold face with 2 exclamation points, right? Double rye. It's like showing excitement. And that's just funny to me. Who puts a jackalope on a label? Like that's hilarious. Like yippee-ki-yay, like that's the guy on the horse with the lasso. Like it's hilarious, and it speaks to the character, I think, of the juice itself. And then you open it up, and the juice is really good too. It just sucks that everybody that I've ever met from High West is such a douchebag. Like that just like takes a lot away from it. And
I was like, when's this fool gonna stop kissing my ass for whiskey that I have nothing to fucking do with?
Oh, I don't look. I'm not gonna pump you up, not to push you back down, right? Like that.
Okay, good.
That's just not how I am.
Yeah. Keep edging me. So if you look at this, I was like, oh, that's a bit much. If you look at this bottle, the Valley Tan, if you can see that fella on there, that is Porter Rockwell. He was Brigham Young's personal fucking hitman. So the labels get wild. And I love that you guys mentioned Boo Rye. I want to do a shout out to not only my dad Patrick, but one of his coworkers Tristan, because my dad's a wildlife biologist. He specialized in small mammals. So he loves the Boo Rye. Not only is it his favorite whiskey, but also this year they give out little beanies with the jackalope on them. And so we ended up giving the beanie to one of his former employees, Tristan, who's going through cancer right now. Sorry to kill the mood.
Oh, shit.
But he loves the jackalope. So I made sure to pass that along, that I was like, hey, even though it's a mythical creature, the biologist community definitely loves Boo-Rai, and the ex-Mormon community loves Valley Tan for that Porter Rockwell depiction. So it's for sure the label's hit. And actually, one of the label I want to shout out real quick. I talk way too much. I'm sorry, but for High Country Single Malt, I personally love this label the most because when you're especially working graveyard or if you're working morning during the winter, this is our view looking east out of the still house, because the still house is all glass. I don't know if it's actually supposed to be this way, but this is how the sunrises look during the winter. It like you see it start to come at, well, sunrises, everyone's fucking seen a sunrise, but that's exactly how it looks with the white snow and then the painted sky. It's absolutely a beautiful place to work at up there in One Ship.
Well, what do you say we drink some?
I was just gonna say, shit, man.
Well, if you would shut the fuck up, we could have started earlier.
Cheers, guys.
Cheers.
Cheers.
God, I love this stuff. I don't know why you shit on it last time we drank it, Steven.
Can I explain why I think it was?
It was a tough tasting, I feel like.
Yeah, I think that the tasting itself was like, I don't know, I think it's always skewed what I'm drinking right next to each other. I think it always affects the score. And whenever I first tasted it in that lineup, I can't even remember if it was on the exact lineup, you probably do, but I just remember there was so many hard hitters right there that to me, this one didn't have as like instantly distinct flavor as the others. So to me, you know, I had always built up, because of the label, I had not had it up to that point, and I always built up Midwinter Night's Dram as like this, oh man, if you taste that, you know that you're drinking it. But to me, it's just like now drinking it, it's a really nice rye, but like right next to like Barrel Seagrass or whatever we were drinking.
Yeah, that night was Minor Case. That was a 4-way blind, Connor. All finished ryes. Okay, so yeah, Minor Case, Barrel Seagrass, and Angel's Envy Rye, along with Midwinter's Night's Dram.
So Angel's Envy Rye is Steven's favorite of all time. So
yeah,
it's the highest score so far.
Good. Yeah. So, and that's the thing with Angel's Envy Rye, that when you have a sip of that or you're drinking a good amount of it, everything else kind of, not that
it's not necessarily
good,
worse,
but it's so
just,
much like with that rum casket, there's just so much coming out of that bottle that anything else you drink, it's tough to navigate.
Some of that other stuff we had on that lineup, just it didn't have as like distinct of a weird note as those things.
Yeah. Well, I mean, let me hit you with this just so you guys, I mean, honestly, say what you want. I'm a distiller. This is a blender product. But the first time I tried Midwinter Night's Dram, again at Michelangelo's Pizzeria in Clovis, California, they're not paying me. I hated it. I didn't like it. It was so weird. It was so complex. I didn't enjoy it. And it was because when I was really early on in my whiskey journey, I either liked ryes to be super intense or I just didn't like any other ryes. Like I was, Bullet Rye, I was, Ezra Brooks, I was drinking that MGP 95% mash bill like crazy, which I didn't know at the time. It was all more or less the same. But to have a rye, because the rumors I've heard about Midwinters is the base rye is about 6 years old. I could be wrong, but what I've heard is the minimum age statement is 6 years. And you do taste that it is a mellower rye. And then that almost dessert-like finish from the port. It is intense. And on its own, I love this whiskey as like my dessert whiskey, like because I'm trying to find my sweet tooth. As you can see, I'm a bit of a thicker boy, and so Midwinter Night's Dram it satiates that sweetness. So yeah, at first I didn't like it, but now I really do like it. It's up there with the favorites for sure. And you've mentioned the label being part of the play. If you ever get invited to the Midsummer Night's Party or Midwinter Night's Party, they do it the day before they release it. It's like $400 a ticket, but your cocktail is like worth $100 alone, and it's like this weird Shakespearean party up there on the mountain. So if you ever get a chance, it's a weird one for sure. But I've never been. But
so
I
that's
feel like
allowed
Constellation
with Mormons?
leaves you. I feel like Constellation leaves you guys alone for like. You're very distinct. Like and I'm not shitting on Constellation or anything like that. They
That's
have
fine.
like
I will. I'm kidding.
tons of money behind them. I mean, they're huge brands. They're Kim Crawford wine, Modelo, Corona.
Well,
You guys, I feel like, are like the kind of offshoot of everything, and it's pretty cool. I don't see a lot of like originality in a lot of whiskeys like you guys are doing, and to be owned by such a big company and letting you guys get away with all that, it seems pretty cool.
Yeah. First, to Dan's point, just real quick, about the Mormons.
Do they check? Do you guys check you guys to make sure you're wearing your like magical underwear?
Yeah, no, my shoulders are showing. I'm such a whore. When I moved to Utah, I had such an idea of what the Mormons were going to be like, but I live in Ogden, which is just north of Salt Lake City. My neighborhood is super Hispanic and super Catholic, which is awesome because it reminds me of home. The Mormons come around, but they get some bilingual, phrases to fuck off. And mainly, what I like to tell people is Salt Lake City is such a rad city because it takes all the fun people in Utah and isolates them.
Yeah.
Because the middle of Utah is where the cults are. Orem and Provo, that is the Mormon hub of the world. And once you get above Ogden, north of Ogden, it's like Brigham City and Box Elder County. You're back in the middle of Utah. There's some culty land out there. So, but, Ryan, to your point, not to shit on the other brands in Constellation's portfolio because Nelson Screenbuyer, I like their whiskey a lot. Casa Noble Tequila, I really enjoy the tequila. And Svedka Vodka, I mean, that's the handle Liz and I keep in our bar here at home because this is Utah. You got to have a decent home bar. But what I've been told is that Constellation kind of treats us like, like that's the one they look who we have. And it does suck in some situations because, to my knowledge, Valley Tan and Yippee-Ki-Yay were both discontinued because of Constellation, because to redirect energies towards other bottles, which is fine. It broke my heart because those two I loved immensely, but it is what it is. And actually, I'm unsure about the wines because, to my knowledge, those got sold to Gallo. I don't know when that goes into effect because my friend works for Gallo, and what is funny is Cook Champagne and Parmesan Brandy are the two brands that were not allowed to be in the sale because of a Teddy Roosevelt antitrust act, and because if they got those two brands, they would own. I can't speak to the sparkling wine in California, but because I come from Christian Brothers Brandy, if they got Parmesan, they would have 75% of the American brandy industry.
Yeah, it might have been a little bit more too. Because
it literally just would have been
huge.
O'Neill's, and like all the small distilleries or like Laird's and other small craft brandy distilleries. Like it would have been ungodly. So that went to Sazerac, funny enough, to the best of my knowledge. I hope. I didn't sign an NDA, so I can say that, damn it. No one pays me enough to have me sign NDA, so I can say where it went.
We should probably talk a little bit about the whiskey and the notes we're picking up and everything for the people who haven't had it.
You mean the four viewers? I mean, okay. I know from... Sorry, go ahead.
No, please.
So,
yeah, I mean, this is your show, Connor. Go ahead.
Yeah, clearly. Welcome to another brandy show. With my special guest Ryan. He's a big fruit guy. But
he's pretty fruity.
For me, yeah. Well, one thing that I always pick up on Midwinters is milk chocolate because my mom loved Cadbury's dairy milk bars when I was a kid. She still loves them. And that's one thing that I always get is a weird, not weird, but like a cocoa kind of flavor to it on the palate, not on the nose.
Yeah, I can see that. Now they just took another sip of it. I also pick up like a little bit of like cranberry or something like that, where it's like I feel there's some sort of like there's like a finish to it, not necessarily on the palate, but like some part of the finish kind of tastes like a little bit of wine to me. I definitely pick up those flavors. Finish.
Yeah, to me, it's got it's an abundance of wine flavors to it. I'm not a wine drinker. I don't like wine at all. But this to me is like a perfect combination because like you get the dryness that I hear people like in wine, and it's got a lot of dryness to it. But it's also got like that rye spice to it, and like one of the reasons why I love Midwinter's Night's Dram so very much is that it's just extraordinarily well-rounded. Like it is absurdly complex. If you like, we talk regularly about how sometimes things are too complex, right? Like,
Yeah.
they can be too complex. This is super complex if you want it to be, but you can also just sip it and just fucking enjoy it and just get stupid drunk if you want to.
If you have it with a cigar, I feel like it really just turns it into like a red fruit cocktail of sorts. If you ever drink it like in winter when it's cold, so your palate's already, not gonna pick up on much, and then you obliterate it with a cigar or a pipe, it's just red fruits and honey and just deliciousness. I actually have the propaganda sheet here. It's for Act 9, but we like to be fairly consistent. The nose, they talk about muddled blackberries, honey poached figs. I didn't know that was possible. Chocolate covered cherries. My favorite is hoisin sauce. They call it hoisin sauce, and I kind of get that sweet red bean dessert that you see in some of the Asian markets. And then on the palate, they talk about sugar plums, spice bitter orange peel, which I totally get. Because
and the plums, I get the plums too.
Sure, and then
Ryan, that's a fruit that's
purple, right?
Yeah, it makes you poop. But yeah, so
I need some of that then. Maybe I can get off that benefiber.
Buddy, Metamucil's where it's at. That's my personal.
No.
Actually, funny enough, so I'm not hungover today. I'm rusty because Saturday was a housewarming party, and I brought over, like I was telling you guys about my shopping trip before we started recording. I brought over like 4 bottles of High West, like 2 AP, 1 Double Rye, 1 Midwinter, and people were like not wanting to take shots. So I was like, all right, I'll take theirs too. And so little rusty today, but. At like midnight, I DoorDashed Metamucil to the house we were at because I take Metamucil every night, and I was like, "Hey, I don't want to get off my cycle, I want to be regular." It was like $40 for 1 box of the shit. I was like, "This is egregious," but I'm good today.
Metamucil, feel free to sponsor the show. We're totally okay with that.
Dude, they're not cheap. They could sponsor me anytime.
I do the chewable benefibers. It's like $15 a pop.
Dude, you're such a child. First, you got to get chewable fibers, and you can't eat
okay,
fruit.
Well, first of all, I pour them in the powder into the water bottle. I get fucking powder everywhere. My car is just powdered of fiber.
Do it in your kitchen. Why are you doing it in your car?
They're the little travel.
Chop it with a credit card. Chop it with a credit card, and then use $100 bill.
What do you mean? Because it's a travel and you can't prepare it in your house? What are you talking about, Ryan? It's just smaller. They're individually packaged.
I'm not going to take 3 water bottles and then individually okay, time to go to work now.
You need
I'll just eat the fiber pill. Like it's delicious.
Okay, Dan, you were talking about chopping it up. I wanted to make sure I clear this up in case someone spots it. This little baggie that's been on my shelf here. It's actually a trial size of isinglass. It is not any of that Colombian Bam Bam. So
yeah, sure it is. Sure it is.
Bro, I work for Constellation. I can't afford Colombian stuff. No. That Modelo money helped me buy a house. So I respect Constellation for that.
We should. This is a good segue to talk about some of the bottles you have behind you, I think.
Oh,
so we should probably go over that.
Little book? Or is that Noah's Mill up there?
Oh, actually, hot damn, great spot. Hold on. As I create the fattest mess that I'll clean up never.
We've had some subversive opinions about Noah's Mill on this show, by the way.
And then there's some hibiki. I see some hibiki back there.
Nope, that is Roku Gin. I don't know who mentioned it. It was a graduation present.
My apologies.
No, I mean...
I knew it was Japanese.
My ex loved hibiki, so I kind of protest them. So this is actually Grower's Brandy, Grower's Reserve. And it was a brandy project for my old job. I hated these bottles because I had to do a tax-paid inventory on them every month. Excuse me. And it was kind of a pain in the ass. But it's, Christ, what's the age? 16 years. 16-year-old brandy. I'm never going to open it because one, they stored them all sideways for like 20 years.
Oh yeah, that's
So
gonna
the
taste like
cork-
shit. Yep.
A lot of them you can see the cork floating in the brandy. And
Oh.
secondly, the rumor that I heard was that to help boost the quantity, some neutral spirits fruit grape may or may not have found their way into the bottles. So everyone told me, they were like, just keep it for decoration. Don't actually open it because it doesn't taste very good. And I was like, all right, that's fine. I'll just keep it for decoration. Up there is actually my little pot still head for essential oils and water distillation. It's fun for research. Noah's Mill was bought by my friend Noah Roberts because of the name. He doesn't really, he's learning about whiskey, but he at the time he did, and he was just like, well, it's got my name and $70 or whatever. And so whenever he's around, we just take a shot. So yeah.
Okay.
And then that's Nick Offerman edition Lagavulin, 8,
Okay.
10, 11 years. That one I just bought for shits and giggles, and then I got the job out here, and it turns out he's a really big fan of High West, at least I've heard. So, which makes sense because honestly, Campfire, I like in Campfire too, Lagavulin, where it's got the smokiness and then it's got a really sweet palate from the bourbon character.
Mm-hmm.
And then yeah, there's
Blue
an
Note?
unopened Yippee Blue Note.
Is there Blue Note on the next list?
No. This is a college kids collection I brought out. I smuggled in my U-Haul. There is Quintessential from Cedar Ridge. God, the lighting is terrible. Yippee-Ki-Yay, unopened. There's also a Whistle Pig Farm Stock 3 and a Martell XO that I was gifted by a liquor rep. So shout out to Ryan's Breed of People. The gin, it's called Roku. I really like it. It's got some teas and some peppers and some yuzu and sakura flower. I think it's really lovely and refreshing. I don't really drink it because I'll drink it neat. I don't put it in a cocktail to help preserve it. And then there's the greatest spirit ever, Mellow Corn, but I'm not going to give them publicity until they pay their people, right?
Yeah, good for you.
I love Bernie lovers. I actually do talk to Connor O'Driscoll on Instagram a lot. I ask him questions, advice, etc., because he's got a great name.
Yeah.
But yeah,
one of the few.
This Heaven Hill thing, man. Like, I heard
so
that.
Fucked. It's so fucked.
Bro, I was raised blue collar. I'm pro union. I'm pro workers being treated how they fucking should. So it's like, come on, dude. I love the whiskey, but don't take their healthcare away right now.
Exactly.
I mean, I've got a lot of issue with the whiskey industry and how, people will buy whiskey just for, a financial investment, or people will,
which is so goddamn dumb.
Yeah.
And that's what we were talking about too. But I also feel like most of the people, and this is no offense to Dan here. God, I wouldn't want to offend Dan, but I feel like a lot of the whiskey of the rare releases ends up going to the same people year after year too, and because I know a lot of Facebook groups out there. No offense to any particular Facebook groups, but they a lot of those guys have reserves of all that rare stuff too. So I feel like
McAllen has entered the chat.
I feel like we're not spreading the wealth and like letting people try the whiskey that we all kind of wait for every year. A special release like this episode, I feel like we're remiss to not mention how hard it is to find, and a few people are sitting on all the reserves.
I think that I wholeheartedly agree. You're not going to hurt my feelings whatsoever. But one thing that I will say is that, I get a lot of really rare bourbon, a lot of really rare whiskey. However, I think that the reason why I am able to get rare whiskey and people who are newer to bourbon aren't able to get whiskey is because of their individual behavior. They stop themselves from getting that opportunity, which is exactly the whole reason. Like, I think way too many people miss the point of my Bourbon Douche videos on TikTok. People watch those and they think it's about entertainment. It is kind of, but it's mostly about trying to hold up a mirror to the tenfold people who are new to whiskey over the last 5 years and say, if this is how you're behaving, This is why you're not able to get a bottle of Midwinter's Night's Dream. This is why you're not able to get a backup bottle of, if you approached it from a different perspective, you would get those. And Stephen, you're in a difficult position because you're on the Missouri side. If you were on the Illinois side, you would have a much more a much better opportunity to get those hard to get liquors. But the people who have been drinking whiskey and bourbon for years and years and years before the boom started, we have those relationships developed with the business owners. We have friendships with those people. And friendship and relationships is exactly what whiskey and bourbon is about. Not only the drinking of it, not only the consumption of it, but the distillation of it, the purchasing of it, the retail side of it. Everything about whiskey and bourbon is supposed to be relationship based. And I think that people who came from the craft beer market, which is a huge population, they don't get that. They don't recognize that the relationship is central to whiskey and bourbon. And so it's not really my fault that other people aren't, because I'm one of the very few that's trying to say, no, this is why. I want to help you be able to get this.
Yeah.
But if you're going to ignore me, if you're just going to look at it as entertainment, well, then I've done everything I can, because I'm giving you step-by-step instructions to try to help you, to try to help people learn. So actually, yes, it does keep going to the same people, but there's a reason why.
Dan, that's actually how we became friends. I was looking back at our old messages, and it was because one of your whiskey douche videos, I commented, and I was like, as a distiller, please keep doing these. Like, definitely keep this up, because if I can shout out them for the umpteenth time, Michelangelo's Pizzeria in Clovis, California. They literally, I went in there. The first time I went in with a friend who introduced it to me, and then the second time I went there and name dropped like an asshole. And the first pour that I really like opened my eyes was E.H. Taylor. I want to say small batch, one of those ones. But I bought it, 4 shots for me and my friends. It was $12 a shot. It was awesome. And over time, I kept coming in, kept trying different whiskeys, tipping generously, not being a douchebag, not getting blackout drunk. That happened a few times, but not often enough that it became a problem.
Yeah.
But there was one time I went in there. I went in there for a hot toddy because I was sick. That's how I go. Those bartenders, I go to their birthday parties. They went to my graduation party. Like, we're homies. Like, I'm still talking to them every now and then. But I went in there for a hot toddy, and they're like, hey, we just got our Pappy 23 in, and it doesn't smell right. Can you give it a smell and taste and see what you think? And I was like, oh well. As I had a sinus infection, I was like, I mean, I can give it a try. And I smelled it, and I was like, it smells like cork taint. It smells like some kind of, some mold hit the cork, which I'm like, how did they fuck that up? Like,
yeah.
You only have so many bottles. Like, come on, check each cork. You charge enough for it. But I was like, it smells like cork taint that's kind of muting all the other aromas, TCA. And they were, but I was like, hey, but I don't know what Pappy's supposed to. I wasn't even saying it as a mooch. I was just like, I don't know what Pappy's supposed to smell like. So, I mean, if this is how it's supposed to smell like, then it is what it is. And they're like, well, here's Pappy 15. And I was like, oh, dude, today sounds so much better. And so then I tried Pappy 15, and I was like, oh, it blows out of the water. I was like, yeah, that bottle's fucked. Go return that. So.
Well, Pappy 15 is way better than any Pappy 23 anyway, in my opinion. But
my favorite was the Van Winkle Family Reserve. Or it's the normal like white label with like the oval in the middle and just says like Van Winkle or something. It doesn't have any person on the label.
The lot B.
Yeah, that fucking bottle is killer.
It is killer.
And 4 dudes went through a bottle of that ourselves, drinking out of wine glasses, and it was fucking awesome. I really liked it. One thing that every distiller I've talked to understands this trope that we get like pushed in the corner on. Distiller Chris from None Such, he's huge on TikTok. I love his content. He's a great dude.
Yeah.
He and I have both made videos about this where it's like, we could not give a fuck if you add ice or water to your whiskey.
Yeah.
Like, honestly, coming off the still, I mean, right now we're making rye. when it's coming off the still, if I'm smelling it at 155 proof, I'm not gonna pick up on most of it. It's kind of like being at an AC/DC concert, but being right next to the speakers. Whereas I had some water, I step back, all of a sudden I pick out those lovely pine notes, those eucalyptus, those dill, all those lovely characters that are lost when it's way too intense. So if someone's drinking whiskey and it's way too hot for them, but they're like, I will not embarrass the distillers by adding water to this. It's like, motherfucker, we add water before we put it in the barrel. Like,
And
we
it's
go
not-
in at like 120 proof. Like, it's fine.
And those people don't even give a fuck about you, to be honest. You know what I mean? Those people
No,
don't
but
give
they
a fuck
say
about
they
the
do.
distiller. Right.
They say they do,
But it's not
they
that at
don't.
all.
I'm just like, who gives a
it's
shit?
like, especially when it's a rare bottle like Pappy or something like that, it's them saying, because of the scarcity, if I had that bottle, this is how I would drink it. And I would savor it more and everything. So I think
if
we
I
should
was
start...
dating her, I would do this.
Exactly. It's that fucking white knighting of the bourbon world. And we need to start advocating that people add Coke to whatever they're drinking. So anytime we see a post on TikTok
Hey,
of
it's
somebody...
it's really weird. It's almost like somebody on TikTok did exactly that.
No. What
As
I'm
like their
saying
10th
is...
TikTok.
What I'm saying is we advocate that people, like, we go onto other people's videos, and whenever they're drinking like a Pappy or something like that, we say, hey, add some Coke to that, because nobody's saying that in the comments. And we just go onto all the videos. We're just like, hey man, you should really try that Old Fitz with some Coke.
Dude, speaking of the TikTok, bourbon TikTok is such... The bourbon TikTok and moonshiner TikTok are so weird to me. So I go to bourbon TikTok. There's some cool people. There's some people I like. And then there's one dude who I had to unfollow him because it was like every day he's like, let me chug. And it wasn't just the chugs for Hayden, because I did that too, you know, RIP. I did a bottle chug of 169 proof for Hayden and nearly fucking died.
Jesus.
Yeah, it was brandy coming off the column stills. That's how we would do it. But anyway, yeah, so there was one dude who just all he does is chug bottles. So I'm like, it's cool that you follow me. Good for you if you have followers and you have your own product line, but this is not the content I want to see when I'm scrolling through TikTok. Like, it's not my thing. And then moonshiner TikTok, there's some great dudes like Moonshiner Shua, Hardwood Distilling, Prohibition 1920, Sam Page, who she's just a lab mad scientist. She broke down a phone book she broke down the cellulose and was able to ferment the cellulose to make moonshine from a fucking phone book. She's a genius. What? Yeah, it's like
That's
Sam
cool.
Page Science or something like that. If you go through my follows, you'll see it, as well as some other accounts where you're like, why is this guy following them? There's some funny corn stars on TikTok, but the moonshiners, oh my god, they come at us with these hard and fast rules of like, it has to be copper. No, you can have stainless on a lot of parts. It has to be in a mason jar. No, it doesn't. I check my proof by shaking it and looking. It's like, eat a dick, use a hydrometer. Like, or then my favorite part is when people incorrectly use a hydrometer. There's one guy who's using a fermentation hydrometer that tells you how much sugar is in it to measure proof. And I'm like, holy shit, dude. Like, read the label. So if you ever eat the grain, because when we get a grain delivery, we get a sample that we do a quick sensory on just to see if it's up to par, if anything stands out, rather. And when you eat barley, it does have a nice flavor, but it's rather bland. It's like vanilla is a lovely flavor, but it's just vanilla. Rye, you eat it and it's weird, dude. It's really strange, and it's my personal favorite to mill in, because we mill our own grain. And when it's sitting in the hopper before it goes in the mash cooker, you smell the barley, and it smells like barley. It smells nice. You smell the corn, and it smells like Fritos, in my opinion. Like, it doesn't smell like cornbread. It doesn't smell sweet, but it comes out sweet. We use yellow dent corn. Nothing fancy yet. But with the rye, you open it up and you smell the rye, and I'm telling you, man, forget about my asthma. I want to live in that smell. Like, I want to breathe all that dust in. The rye grain is so great smelling, and on top of that, it's beautiful because it's so dark in color that you have these crazy. It looks like granite. Because I grew up in Fresno, so I went to Yosemite all the time. It looks like granite sitting in there. It's really a special grain.
When they're like, I guess, teaching you, like, the first time when you're joining the distillery and you're starting to do the process of you're starting to like taste and smell and everything and check those grains, do they
Yeah.
like what's the process for that? How do you get to that point? Because you have no it's you build that reference over time, right? So do they give you
Sure.
like some like here's an example of what it tastes like when it's really good or whatever?
So we have that for when the other distillers got hired on, a lot of them were like, hey, this is a job that's available. I'm going to apply there, which I understand. When I graduated from college, every distillery in America, Scotland, and Ireland got an application. And I messed up my cover letter to Whistle Pig. I put Jephthah Creed because I was also applying there. But I went, yeah, dude, just fucking grenaded it from the start. But when I applied to High West, I literally got an interview because I fangirled about them for like 15 minutes. And the HR lady was like, hey, this guy will probably take a cut in pay just to work here. No, but I came into it as a big fan. But to those who aren't familiar with the brand, they get a tasting with our sensory team going through the lineup. And the grain receival is very similar. So our distillery supervisor, Kyle Warts, he's a great dude. Just a lot of on-the-job whiskey knowledge. He's an absolute pleasure to work for. He would sit with me and walk me through it, because literally all we do, I don't think this is a trade secret, but we just get a little glass, put an indiscriminate amount of grain in it, and put a little watch glass on top of it, which we have a bunch of for prepping samples for sensory analysis, and we just microwave it for like 15 to 30 seconds. And when you take the glass off, you smell it, and it's either going to smell like tasty grain, or it's going to smell bad. I've yet to smell a bad one, but problems could be mold if your moisture content and your grain is too high. Ergot, I know, is an issue in rye. We thankfully have not had that issue. Our rye, I believe, comes from Idaho, but no issues there. And there's just other weird things to look for. Basically, you just smell it, and does anything smell off? No. Does it smell like corn? Yeah, it smells like corn. Great. We'll accept it. Let's go ahead and send it in. So the training is kind of, if you have a nose, you're already trained. So it's a little less formal than that.
Well, what do you say we go ahead and rate some Midwinter?
Yes.
We have never on this show given a rating. Oh, go ahead.
Let
What's
me
up,
throw
Connor?
this one little bit of trivia for you guys. If you notice, the proof is 98.6 proof. If you see it on the label. Ryan, you can check the label if you want.
Yep, 98.6. Yep.
Can you, and all three of you, fair shot. Why do you think it's 98.6 proof?
Body temperature?
Yeah.
100% right. So literally, I heard this from a previous distiller who had been with High West for like 7 or 9 years, something crazy. And he told me, he might have been fucking with me, honestly. Everything else he told me he was fucking with me. But he said that they picked 98.6 because when they were doing it, there's no precedent for a port cask finished rye whiskey in America, or anywhere. And so they were like, what proof should we have it at? Oh, fuck it, body temperature. So 98.6 proof. And I'm like, I love that. Well, fuck it, just try this. And it turns out into a great whiskey.
I never paid attention to the proof of it, honest to God.
All High West whiskeys are fairly high in proof. I think even double rye and AP are at they're at 46%. So there's no
92,
bottom dollar 40%,
Yeah.
trying to save money.
But I never paid attention to, specifically to the proof of Midwinter's. I never noticed it was 98.6. But yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, it's a funny little tidbit for you. You can break that out of the bar and see if it gets you a free drink.
Very cool.
Awesome.
I like free drinks. They're my favorite.
It's not from me, only Nicki Minaj.
Damn it. All right. So what do you say we go ahead and let's rate it? So those unfamiliar, Connor, you've listened to us. So you know that a 5.0 is a Jim Beam white label. Goes from 0 to 10. Who wants to start?
I'll go.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's hear it.
So the second time drinking it, I definitely like it a lot more. Not that I shat on it. Steven did earlier.
Yeah, thank you, dude. We got it, dude.
Well, whatever it was, I didn't get that like that chocolate note, that sherry, that like sweet, almost like maple syrupness to it. Which, if you've listened, you know I like kind of that decadent type whiskey. I'm gonna go an 8.5. I love it's really good. It's almost like
Decadent.
it's like leech like with that port finish. It was kind of like reminiscent of a better Legion almost. You know what I mean? And my memory doesn't serve me as correct. Like you, Dan, and Steven are really good at remembering things from the past, but I seem to have drank too much to do that. So it reminds me of a better version of Allegiant. So
Dude, I totally
and
see
I,
that.
yeah,
Like
and I
now that
love
you see it,
yeah.
I can, or say it. Yeah, now that you say it, I can totally see that. Yeah.
What do we say? Like how good Legion is in what, an old fashioned or in
Yeah.
Manhattan? I'm going like I could see this
One
right
of
up there
those,
too. Yeah, I can see this right up there too. I hope you guys never change your packaging either, because the whole whiskey industry right now, everyone's changing their bottle, and you guys are one of the outliers, I think, who aren't going to that industrialized look.
Jesus.
So
Correct me if I'm wrong here. Every single bottle from the entire High West line is the same, and the cork is the same. Correct?
Every single one. So
It's just the label that they slap on top of it that's different.
well, yes and no. So the RTDs are in the different
They've
brown
got a sparkle
bottles.
to them. Okay. The,
No.
like
Nope.
barrel picks and store picks have like a
There you go. Yeah,
Uh,
the barrel picks in the store finish have like an oily. That one doesn't have it. They have almost like an oil sheen to it, a
Yes.
rainbow kind of finish. You see it a lot at Total Wine. Total Wine does it a lot. And the RTDs, the pre-made the barrel-aged cocktails, those come in a different brown bottle, which are still really cool. I like
That's
them
true.
a lot.
Yep.
I save them to make batches of pre-made cocktails at my house.
Mhm.
So those are nice. But so the secret behind the High West bottle that I've been told was the cork design and the whole bottle shape is supposed to look like it's out of a Clint Eastwood movie. No one can remember which specific Clint Eastwood movie, but they saw him biting the cork and spitting it out and taking a swig. And I'm like, that makes perfect sense. The only problem with that is all these bottles are hand blown in Mexico. They're handcrafted in Mexico. And the issue with unique bottles like that, when you don't have a mold, is that they're going to be different. And
Yep.
so part of the issue with putting on store shelves, Ryan, you can probably speak to this, is you got to have that same fill line. And the problem is sometimes, because if a customer sees different fill lines, I imagine they're going to be like, I'm not going to buy the little one. I'm getting gypped out of my money here. But it could be the same liquid quantity, but they're not going to know. So literally you'll have two bottles that they're at the same fill line, but one has 800 milliliters and one has 750 milliliters. So our quality control team and our bottling team works their asses off to make sure that not only do people not get gypped, but they also don't perceive that they're getting ripped off. So
Sorry.
I was going to mention also earlier, because I said I gave Midwinter Night's Dram the label a 10, and I said the Boo-Rye would have been a 9 if we were having that. But the Yippee-Ki-Yay, I would also give a 10. I think the Yippee-Ki-Yay label is so cool. When you said that about the Clint Eastwood movie aesthetic, I thought of the Yippee-Ki-Yay again, because to me that one has always been such a cool label, and it feels like it's right out of like it's almost like a Tarantino movie prop aesthetic, where like he has like
Yeah.
Lucky Strike cigarettes, in all his movies.
Red apple.
The red
cigarettes.
apple,
Red
Yeah.
Apple, that's what it is. Yeah, and it's like
Manzana Roja.
it's always that like it. To me, the Yippee-Ki-Yay has always looked kind of like that. Like it was almost like a fake whiskey prop kind of thing, and it was cool because of that.
Yeah.
Like it's
Like from,
supposed to look
Once
like
Upon a
Roy
Time in
Rogers.
Hollywood.
Yeah, or something like that. It's like
yeah.
it's almost like over the top, and it's like, yeah, this is a fake whiskey prop kind of thing. Yeah.
Yeah. If you look closely, it's from Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, and that's Leonardo DiCaprio right there.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Ryan got a rating. What about you two gentlemen?
Well, yeah, Steven's up.
All right. I'm gonna give the rating that I was gonna give before Ryan fucking said it, but I'm also giving it 8.5.
No.
This one, it's a big turnaround for me after initially drinking it. Like I said, I just don't think it was the right setting to have it and like give a score then. Because I was just sipping a little bit of it in conjunction with a bunch of other whiskeys. I don't even know if the proofs matched up or if.
No, your apology is accepted. It's fine.
And the proofs did not match up at all. The proofs
Right.
were all over the place on that
So
episode.
I think
Everywhere.
my palate was just, up and down, and like just being able to focus on it, just sipping it for a while and actually focusing on the notes and everything this time. I love the finish on this so much. Like, this is one of the, I guess, highlights to me of this pour is just afterwards, just sitting here because the finish is so long and it just hangs around and lingers, and it's so pleasant to me. That yeah, to me that almost alone earns it the score. And then it's just a cool bottle, cool release. 8.5 for me.
All right, so I'm up, and I'm going with a 9.2. So I am not a wine drinker. I have said that time and time again. If anything was going to turn me into drinking and trying to enjoy wine, it's this. Honest to God. Like, this is so good to me. And I can parse out the flavors of the rye whiskey and the wine from the barrel finish, that it kind of makes me think to myself, man, maybe I would like wine. And to me, that says a ton, that a whiskey finished in a wine barrel could like actually make me kind of want to try wine, even though every time I've ever tried wine, I've absolutely fucking hated it. But like, it's complex, but it doesn't have to be complex. Like, if you want to just get stupid drunk, you can. If you want to parse out all the flavors, you can. But in either case, it's smooth, it's flavorful, it's got a tremendously long finish. It's like, what else would you want? Like literally, what else could you possibly want from a whiskey? It's got it all. So it's a 9.2 for me.
So I'm doing bulb deep here on my Glencairn. But so one drink, everybody knows the rules. Oh, fuck.
Oh, nice.
I'm not doing anything for the rest of the night. I'm going to give it an 8.8. I'm giving 8.8. Just because I like the number 8.
It's a good score.
So,
He was at a
I
Southside
rated it
Pizza
higher than a distiller from High West did.
I can't kiss my ass too much. I had nothing to do with this whiskey.
All right. I still say
higher than us, lower than you, though. That's respect. You know,
it's been an absolute pleasure drinking with you guys. I hope you'll have me back, because this has been. I told my buddy, I was like, I'm going on a podcast. He's like, what? And I'm like, calm down. But I was like, these guys are just like how we are when we drink together. So I was like, I think I can drop the professionalism and just have fun, and it's been an absolute fucking blast.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
Dude,
we had a blast too.
Another bourbon show. Another bourbon show. Another bourbon show.
This is one of those areas where my one of my superiors, Isaac Winter, him, Brennan Coyle, and Tara Lindley are like the 3 genius whiskey minds that make High West what it is right now.
Why the fuck aren't they here?
Because they're on the famous bourbon podcast.
Touche.
They're on the ones where they don't have to put a disclaimer saying "Don't fire me. These are my opinions, not my company's." Oh,
higher than us, lower than you, though. That's respect. You know, it's